The transport ship descended through Earth's atmosphere with a sound like thunder. Day 1 stood with his squad on the landing field at Seoul Military Academy, watching the alien vessel settle onto the concrete. It was massive, built from materials that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. He had never seen anything like it. "Stay sharp," Lieutenant June said quietly. The young officer kept his hand near his sidearm, though everyone knew it would be useless against technology that could cross between stars. The ship's ramp lowered with a hiss of pressurized air. 3 aliens emerged, and Day 1 fought to keep his expression neutral. They were tall, with skin that looked like polished blue stone. Their eyes were too large, positioned on the sides of their heads like prey animals. They wore elaborate armor that hummed with energy. The lead alien spoke, and a device on its chest translated the words into Korean. "We are representatives of the Galactic Confederacy. Your world has been identified as suitable for military recruitment." Day 1 exchanged glances with Hana, the squad's medic. She looked as confused as he felt. Earth had only known about alien life for 3 months. Now they wanted soldiers? The alien continued. "A war has consumed the galaxy for 800 of your years. 2 empires, the Velathi and the Cross, fight without end. Billions die each cycle. We are losing." Taemin, the demolitions expert, whispered. "What do they want with us?" The alien's translator caught the question. "Your world is a Class XII death world. Your species evolved in conditions that kill most sentient life. We believe you may survive where others cannot." The briefing lasted 3 hours. They learned about energy weapons, faster than light travel, and civilizations that spanned solar systems. They learned about the 2 empires locked in eternal combat, neither able to gain advantage, both too proud to surrender. The Confederacy needed something new, something unexpected. They needed humans. 50 soldiers were selected from militaries around Earth. Day 1's squad was chosen as a complete unit. Lieutenant June would lead. Day 1 would handle infantry tactics. Hana would manage medical support. Taemin would handle demolitions and engineering. Yuna, their sniper, would provide reconnaissance and long-range support. They were given 1 day to prepare. Day 1 spent his last night on Earth with his family. His mother cried. His father gripped his shoulder and told him to come back alive. His little sister asked if he would meet real aliens. He promised he would tell her everything when he returned. The transport ship left at dawn. Inside, the human soldiers found themselves in a cargo bay that had been hastily modified for their needs. The aliens kept their distance, observing through windows and sensors. Day 1 noticed they wore breathing masks when near the humans. "They think we're contaminated," Hana said, reading from a datapad the aliens had provided. "Our world has bacteria and viruses that could kill them. We carry them on our skin." "Great," Taemin muttered. "We're a biological hazard." The journey took 2 weeks. During that time, alien doctors ran tests. They scanned the humans constantly, taking samples of blood, tissue, and bone. The results seemed to disturb them. Day 1 overheard 2 alien scientists talking outside the medical bay. Their translator devices made the conversation audible. "Their bone density is incredible. Their muscles are designed for sustained exertion. And their pain tolerance, I saw the data. One of them broke 3 fingers during equipment testing. What kind of world creates such creatures? A dying one. A world that kills the weak before they can reproduce. The humans trained during the voyage. They learned to use alien weapons, though the ergonomics were wrong for human hands. They studied tactical displays and tried to understand alien military doctrine. It was rigid, formal, and based on honor codes that made no practical sense. "They fight like it's a game," June said during one briefing. "They have rules, specific engagement ranges, proper protocols for retreat." "That's insane," Day 1 replied. "In real combat, you use every advantage. Not in their galaxy, June said grimly. They arrived at the war zone on the 14th day. Through the viewports, Day 1 saw a massive space station orbiting a scarred planet. Ships moved in formations, firing weapons that lit up the void. Explosions bloomed silently in the vacuum. The humans were shuttled to a Confederacy command ship. Alien officers regarded them with what might have been curiosity or disgust, it was hard to tell. They were briefed by a Velathi commander whose translator gave his voice a flat, emotionless quality. You will be assigned to supply depot defense. It is difficult work. How difficult? June asked. The commander's large eyes blinked slowly. The average defensive team survives 6 hours. We lose 3 depots each day. Your role is to hold as long as possible while supplies are evacuated. You're sending us to die, Hana said quietly. We are sending you to fight, the commander corrected. What happens after is not our concern. The humans were dismissed. As they walked through the ship's corridors, alien soldiers watched them pass. Some showed fear. Others showed contempt. None showed respect. That night, in their assigned quarters, the squad gathered. Day 1 looked at his team at June's worried face. Hana's quiet determination. Tae-min's nervous energy. Yuna's calm focus. They think we're going to die, he said. Probably. Tae-min agreed. Then let's show them what humans can do, Yuna said. She was checking her rifle, her movements precise and calm. They've been fighting this war for 800 years. Maybe they forgot how to win. June nodded slowly. We hold that depot. We show them. Earth doesn't send soldiers to die. We send soldiers to fight. The next morning, they boarded a transport to Depot Gamma 7. Through the viewport, Day 1 watched the stars and wondered if he would ever see Earth again. Behind him, his squad checked weapons and equipment. They didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. The war was waiting. Depot Gamma 7 was a fortress built into a hollowed asteroid. The previous defenders had left quickly, taking only what they could carry. Blood stains marked the corridors. Scorch marks from energy weapons covered the walls. The air smelled like burning metal and something else. Something organic and rotten. Cheerful place, Tae-min said, scanning the main cargo bay. How long did the last team last? 4 hours, June replied, checking the datapad. Cross forces overwhelmed them. 17 defenders. All casualties. Day 1 walked the perimeter, studying sight lines and defensive positions. The depot had good bones, thick walls, multiple levels, choke points that could be defended. But it was designed for alien tactics, for orderly fighting at prescribed ranges. We need to change everything, he said. They worked for 6 hours straight. Tae-min rigged explosives in the outer corridors, creating traps that would detonate when sensors detected movement. Yuna found a position on the upper level with clear lines of fire to all approaches. Hana set up a medical station in the central chamber. Close to cover, June established a command post with visual feeds from every section. Day 1 redesigned the defensive plan completely. Forget alien doctrine. They would fight like humans, nasty, unpredictable, and relentless. The Cross attacked at hour 7. They came in waves, as alien military doctrine demanded. Yuna saw them first through her scope. Massive creatures that looked like a nightmare combination of insect and reptile. They carried biological weapons that spat acid and launched bone fragments. Contact, she said calmly. 30 hostiles, eastern approach. Day 1 let them advance into the kill zone. The Cross moved in formation, following their tactical protocols. When they reached the marked point, Tae-min triggered the first explosives. The blast tore through the corridor, and the precision formation became chaos. Cross soldiers scattered, and that's when Yuna started firing. Her rifle cracked methodically, and hostile after hostile dropped. The Cross tried to return fire, but she was already moving, changing position like a predator stalking prey. Second wave, western corridor, June reported. Day 1 took Taemin and moved to intercept. The Cross expected defenders to hold position. Instead, the humans rushed forward. Using speed and aggression, Taemin threw grenades, human grenades, designed for Earth's gravity and atmosphere. In the depot's lower pressure, they were devastating. The fighting lasted 3 hours. When the Cross finally retreated, they left 26 dead. The humans had minor injuries. Hana treated a burn on Taemin's arm and a cut above Daewon's eye. "They'll be back," June said. "That was a probe. They're learning our strength." "Good," Daewon replied. "Let them learn fear." The second attack came 12 hours later. This time, the Cross brought heavy weapons and changed tactics. They tried to breach multiple entry points simultaneously, overwhelming the defenders with numbers. Yuna moved constantly, firing from different positions. The Cross couldn't predict where she would be. Every time they advanced, another soldier fell. She wasn't just shooting, she was hunting, using instincts evolved from thousands of years of human persistence hunting. In the South Corridor, Day 1 faced a Cross champion, a massive warrior wearing armor covered in kill marks. The creature charged, expecting honorable single combat. Instead, Day 1 dropped prone, rolled sideways, and shot it in the leg joint. When it fell, he put 2 more rounds in its head. "No honor," he muttered. "Just survival." Taemin was laughing as he fought, his face covered in soot from explosions. He had turned the depot into a maze of traps and ambush points. Cross soldiers advanced cautiously, but caution meant delay, and delay meant exposure. The humans used every advantage, every dirty trick. 24 hours into the defense, something changed. The Cross attacks became more cautious. They stopped following standard doctrine and started adapting. But adaptation takes time, and humans were very good at making other species uncomfortable. Day 1 ordered sleep rotations. 2 humans would stay alert, while 3 rested. The Cross biology required 12-hour sleep cycles. Humans could function on 4-hour rotations, using short naps and stimulants. At hour 36, Day 1 led a patrol outside the depot. The Cross had established a forward position in a nearby crater. He took Taemin and moved silently through the asteroid field, using minimal equipment and absolute noise discipline. They reached the Cross position and found the soldiers sleeping, their biology demanding rest. Taemin planted explosives. They retreated silently. 20 minutes later, the charges detonated, destroying equipment and demoralizing the enemy force. "They don't know how to fight something that hunts while they sleep," Taemin said. By hour 48, the humans were exhausted but functional. Hana distributed stimulants and treated injuries. She had learned something interesting: human biochemistry was aggressive. Their adrenaline responses, their endorphin production, their ability to function through pain. It was all designed for a world that wanted to kill them. "We're not tougher than them," she explained during a brief rest. "We just evolved to ignore our bodies screaming at us to stop." At hour 60, a Cross soldier was captured. It had been injured in a trap and couldn't retreat. June brought it to the medical bay, where Hana treated its wounds. The creature was terrified, expecting torture or execution. Instead, June questioned it through a translator device. The Cross soldier seemed confused by the question. "To honor the fallen." "What was stolen?" A long silence. I do not know. The war began before my hatching. Before my progenitor's hatching." "So you're dying for something nobody remembers?" The Cross had no answer. At hour 70, the final assault came. The Cross committed everything they had, determined to take the depot. The humans fell back to the central chamber, giving ground but making the enemy pay for every meter. Day 1 ordered a false retreat. The humans appeared to abandon the upper levels, and the Cross rushed forward, sensing victory. They poured into the cargo bay, where Taemin had spent 3 days preparing his masterpiece. The explosives detonated in sequence, collapsing sections of the ceiling and ceiling corridors. The Cross forces were trapped in a killing box, Yuna fired from concealed positions. Daewon and Tae-min used the confusion to strike from unexpected angles. When the smoke cleared, the cross retreated permanently. Hour 73. The relief force arrived to find the humans fortifying positions and eating rations. The depot was secure. The cargo had been preserved. 5 humans had held against hundreds of cross soldiers. The alien observers couldn't believe it. They watched the security footage over and over, trying to understand how such a small force had survived. They fight without honor, one Velothi officer said. They fight to win, another replied quietly. That night, Daewon sat with his squad in the cargo bay. They were exhausted, covered in sweat and blood and soot. But they were alive. Think they'll give us another suicide mission? Taemin asked. Probably, June said. Good, Yuna said softly. Let's show them what else humans can do. The footage from Depot Gamma 7 spread through the Confederacy fleet within hours. Humans were no longer dismissed as primitive allies. They were something new, something dangerous, something the galaxy had never seen before. The command ship times, Eternal Radiance times, was unlike anything on Earth. Corridors stretched for kilometers, lit by bioluminescent panels that pulsed like living things. Artificial gravity felt slightly wrong, calibrated for Velothi physiology rather than human. Daewon and his squad walked through the ship's central atrium, and every alien they passed stopped to stare. They were no longer disposable assets. Fleet Admiral Kethal summoned them to his strategy chamber. The Velothi commander was old by his species' standards. His blue skin faded to pale gray, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. Your defense of Gamma 7 was remarkable, he said through his translator. 73 hours against superior numbers. Minimal casualties. The Cross have declared the sector too costly to contest. We did our job, June replied carefully. You did more than that. You introduced variables we did not anticipate. Kethal gestured, and holographic displays appeared in the air. They showed tactical analyses of the depot battle, breaking down human strategies moment by moment. Deception, psychological warfare, sustained combat operations without proper rest cycles. The Cross cannot adapt to such tactics. Because they fight with honor? Daewon asked. Because they fight by rules established over 8 centuries. As do we. As does everyone. Kethal's large eyes focused on Daewon. Except you. The Admiral offered them a new assignment. They would train mixed units of alien soldiers, teaching human tactics to Confederacy forces. The pay was substantial. The authority was unprecedented. They would report directly to Fleet Command. Why us? Hana asked. 50 humans came from Earth. Why our squad? Because you survived. Kethal said simply. 3 other human squads were deployed to similar assignments. They also survived. But your squad was the most effective. You think like predators. We need to learn that skill. The training program began immediately. Daewon found himself teaching room-clearing techniques to a platoon of Velothi soldiers. They were precise, disciplined, and completely unable to adapt when situations changed. Think like prey, and you'll die like prey, he told them. Your enemy expects you to follow doctrine. So break it. Be unpredictable. Be aggressive. The Velothi struggled with the concept. Their entire culture was built on order, on following proper protocols. Aggression without formal declaration was considered barbaric. Taemin had better luck with engineering units. He taught them improvised demolitions, using standard equipment in unconventional ways. The Velothi engineers were horrified and fascinated in equal measure. You want to collapse the entire structure? One asked, watching Taemin calculate blast patterns. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to remove the problem, Taemin replied cheerfully. Can't fight in a fortress if there's no fortress. Yuna refused to train snipers directly. My method won't work for you, she told a group of Velothi marksmen. I track targets by instinct, By reading movement patterns. Your eyes are positioned for detecting threats from all angles. Different biology, different techniques. Instead, she taught reconnaissance, showing them how to observe and predict enemy movements. The aliens were impressed by her patience. She could watch a position for 16 hours without moving, barely blinking. For prey species aliens, such stillness was unnatural and unsettling. Hana made the most important discovery in the medical bay. She was treating a Velathi soldier injured in training when she noticed something strange in the biochemical readings. "Your bodies can't process sustained adrenaline," she said, studying the data. "When you experience extreme stress, your nervous system starts to shut down." The Velathi doctor confirmed it. Acute stress response is dangerous for most species. Extended exposure causes permanent neurological damage, but not humans, Hana said slowly. "We evolved with it. Our entire biochemistry is designed to function under stress. We use adrenaline like fuel." "Oh, you are adaptation incarnate," the doctor replied. "Your species survived by becoming more dangerous when threatened." The revelation changed strategic thinking. Human squads were integrated into Velathi units, specifically to handle high-stress combat situations. When battles became chaotic, humans took command. Not everyone was pleased. 3 months into the training program, the Cross-Dominion launched a desperate operation. They captured 3 human soldiers during a supply raid and offered them a deal: join the Dominion, teach them human tactics, and they would be rewarded beyond imagination. The captured humans refused. The Cross tried torture, using methods that had broken prisoners from dozens of species. Pain, deprivation, psychological pressure. The humans endured. They had evolved on a world where pain was a daily reality, where survival meant pushing past physical limits. What broke other species barely slowed humans down. After 2 weeks, the Cross released them, keeping one as a statement of power. But the statement backfired. The returned soldiers reported everything they had learned about Cross tactics, biology, and strategic thinking. Their capture had been an intelligence opportunity. "You let yourselves be captured?" Admiral Kethel asked, stunned. "We adapted to the situation," one soldier replied. "Just like you taught us." Political tensions escalated. Both the Velathi Empire and the Cross-Dominion sent envoys to Earth, each demanding formal alliance. The Galactic Confederacy tried to maintain neutrality, but pressure mounted. It culminated in a formal council session. Representatives from both empires, Confederacy officials, and the human command staff gathered in a neutral station. Day 1 attended with his squad, representing Earth's military interests. The Velathi envoy spoke first. "Humanity must choose the side of order and civilization. The Cross are biological horrors who wage war through genetic manipulation and viral weapons." The Cross envoy responded, its translated voice harsh and buzzing. "The Velathi are oppressors who enforce rigid hierarchies and crush all who resist. Humanity understands strength. Join us." June stood, and the chamber fell silent. "Earth chooses neither." "That is not acceptable," the Velathi envoy said. "You must declare alliance." "Why?" June asked. "Because you've been fighting for 800 years and can't win? Because you need us to break your stalemate?" "You are outnumbered and outmatched," the Cross envoy said. "Without alliance, humanity is vulnerable." Day 1 pulled up holographic displays. "We've been analyzing both fleets. Your formations, your logistics, your strategic weaknesses." He highlighted sections of the galactic map. "The Velathi Empire is overextended here, here, and here. One major offensive would collapse your supply lines." He switched to Cross territory. "The Dominion has concentrated forces in these regions, leaving your breeding worlds exposed. A surgical strike would cripple your population growth for generations." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Both envoys demanded to know how humans had acquired such intelligence. June waited for silence, then spoke calmly. We've been watching you fight for months. You're predictable. You follow patterns. You care more about honor and tradition than victory." He looked at both envoys. "Earth won't choose sides in your war, but if you force us to choose, we'll end it ourselves." It was an audacious threat from a species that had 5 ships in orbit around one planet. But the aliens had seen Depot Gamma 7. They had watched humans fight without fear, without hesitation. They had seen humans survive torture, endure stress that killed other species, and adapt to any situation. The meeting ended without resolution. As the squad left the chamber, Hana spoke quietly. "Do you think they believed us?" "They're about to find out," Day One replied. That night, a cross-assassination team infiltrated the human quarters. They deployed a bioweapon designed to kill through skin contact. A toxin that had eliminated an entire Vel-Athi colony world. The humans woke up with mild rashes and headaches. By morning, they were fine. The cross team was found dead in the corridor, killed by human security personnel who had detected the breach. Analysis showed the bioweapon should have been instantly lethal, but humans had evolved on Earth, a world filled with toxins, venoms, and aggressive microorganisms. Their immune systems were nightmarishly efficient. The galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans weren't just tough or clever. They were the product of a world that had spent millions of years trying to kill them. Everything about their biology was designed for one purpose: survival at any cost. And now, they were loose in a galaxy at war. The theft happened during a shift change, when station security was thinnest. Day One and his squad walked calmly through the docking bay, dressed in maintenance uniforms that Taemin had forged. They carried equipment cases that held weapons and hacking tools. "This is insane," Hana whispered as they approached the Confederacy scout ship. "Completely," June agreed. "Keep walking." The ship was small but fast, designed for reconnaissance missions deep in hostile territory. Taemin bypassed the security locks in 90 seconds. They boarded, sealed the hatch, and powered up the engines before Station Command realized what was happening. "Unauthorized launch detected," a voice said over the communication system. "Return to dock immediately, or you will be fired upon." Yuna was already at the weapons console, tracking the station's defense platforms. "They won't shoot. We're still too close to civilian sections." "Don't be certain," June said, bringing the ship's systems online. The ship accelerated, and Day One felt the pressure of artificial gravity adjusting. Warning lights flashed across multiple panels. Behind them, 3 Confederacy fighters launched in pursuit. "They're hailing us," Hannah reported. "Answer it," June said. Admiral Kethal appeared on the screen, his blue skin darker with what might have been anger. "Lieutenant June, you are committing an act of treason against the Galactic Confederacy. Surrender immediately." "Can't do that, Admiral," June replied calmly. "We're ending this war by stealing a military vessel?" Kethal's translator made his voice sound incredulous. "You have lost your minds." "Maybe," Day One said, leaning into view. "But we're the only ones crazy enough to try." The fighters were closing fast. Yuna tracked them on her display, calculating intercept vectors. "Recommend we jump now." Taemin engaged the faster-than-light drive. Space twisted, and the ship leaped forward, leaving the pursuit behind. They emerged 3 light-years away, deep in neutral space. "Phase 1 complete," June said. "Now for the hard part." They had spent weeks planning this operation, using every piece of intelligence gathered during their service. The target was a ruined planet called Keth 4, the world where the war had begun 800 years ago. Historical records were fragmentary, but Day One had pieced together enough information to make it worth investigating. "If we're wrong, we're just rogue soldiers in a stolen ship," Hana said. "And if we're right, we end the war," Day One replied. They reached Keth 4 after 2 days of travel. The planet was a wasteland, its atmosphere poisoned by ancient weapons. Cities were visible from orbit, but they were empty ruins, monuments to a civilization that had destroyed itself. The squad landed near what appeared to be a government complex. They wore environment suits and carried portable scanners. The air was toxic, filled with radioactive particles and chemical residue. For most species, even brief exposure would be fatal. Readings are bad, Hana reported. Radiation levels are dangerous. How dangerous? Yuna asked. For us? We can work here for about 6 hours before we need treatment. For Velathi? Or Cross? Minutes. They explored the ruins methodically. Tae-min found a data archive buried beneath a collapsed building. The power had failed centuries ago, but the storage medium was still intact. He connected portable generators and began extraction. These files are ancient, he said, scrolling through recovered data. Government records, military communications, and wait. Here. He projected a hologram showing territorial maps. 2 nations, on Keth 4, separated by a narrow strait. Resource deposits on both sides. A dispute over mining rights. That's it? Daewon said. A mining dispute? It escalated. Tae-min continued reading. Trade embargo. Border incidents. Then someone launched a biological weapon. Retaliation followed. Within months, both nations were using weapons of mass destruction. The files showed the progression. Chemical weapons, nuclear devices, genetic plagues. Each side convinced they were fighting for survival, for honor, for justice. Neither willing to back down. The planet died, Hana said quietly. Both civilizations destroyed each other. And then what? Yuna asked. Tae-min found more files. Survivors fled off-world. They split into 2 factions, each blaming the other for the destruction. They took their war to the stars. The Velathi Empire and the Cross Dominion, June said. They're descendants of the same species, still fighting a war that started over a territorial dispute nobody alive remembers. Daewon felt cold despite the environment suit's heating. 800 years, quadrillions of deaths, entire solar systems devastated, all because of a conflict that should have been resolved diplomatically. We need more proof, June said. They spent 4 hours extracting data. Genetic records proved that Velathi and Cross shared ancestry. Cultural archives showed common language roots. Military documents detailed the original conflict with painful clarity. There's something else, Hana said. She was examining biological data recovered from medical facilities. A disease. It's in both modern Velathi and Cross populations. War plague, Tae-min read. Developed as a bioweapon during the First War. It was supposed to target enemy genetics, specifically. But they were the same species, Hana said. So it affected everyone. And it's still in their DNA, passed down through generations. It's what makes them aggressive. What prevents their biochemistry from handling stress. The war created a disease that makes them keep fighting, Daewon said. They're biologically locked into conflict. Can it be cured? June asked. Hana studied the data. Maybe. With advanced genetic therapy. But first, they need to stop fighting long enough to cooperate on treatment. They returned to the ship with the evidence. June immediately began broadcasting on all frequencies, sending messages to both empires simultaneously. This is Lieutenant June of Earth, commanding independent vessel. We have evidence that the Velathi Empire and Cross Dominion were once the same civilization. Your 800-year war began as a territorial dispute on planet Keth 4. We have genetic proof, historical records, and biological analysis. You're dying for something that doesn't matter anymore. The response was immediate and hostile. Both empires denied the claims. They called it human propaganda, deception, psychological warfare. They won't listen, Hana said. Then we make them listen, Daewon replied. Over the next week, the squad executed a campaign of targeted strikes against both empires. They hit a Velathi shipyard, destroying construction facilities but deliberately avoiding casualties. They sabotaged a crossbreeding facility, releasing genetic evidence into their data networks. Each strike was accompanied by broadcasts showing the evidence from Keth 4. Slowly, reluctantly, civilian populations on both sides began to pay attention. Scientists confirmed the genetic data. Historians verified the records. Independent researchers proved that Velathi and Cross were indeed related species, separated by 8 centuries of mutation and adaptation. The military-industrial complexes on both sides tried to suppress the information. They had built entire economies around the war. Peace meant their power would end. June made one final broadcast. The war isn't about ideology or survival. It's about profit. Your leaders keep you fighting because they benefit from endless conflict. We challenge both empires to prove us wrong. Send your champions. We'll fight them. Human versus alien. If we win, you agree to a ceasefire and genetic research cooperation. If we lose, we'll leave your galaxy forever. That's suicide, Hana said after the broadcast ended. Probably, June agreed. But it's the only way to force their hand. The responses came within hours. The Velathi Empire would send 10 of their finest warriors. The Cross Dominion would send 20. The battles would be held on neutral ground, observed by the entire galaxy. 50 against 5, Yuna said calmly. I've faced worse odds. No, you haven't, Taemin said. I know. But they don't need to know that. The squad prepared for what would likely be their final mission. They cleaned weapons, checked equipment, and wrote letters home to Earth. Day 1 recorded a message for his family, explaining what they were trying to do and why it mattered. If this works, he said to the camera, we save quadrillions of lives. If it fails, we die knowing we tried. He sealed the message and joined his squad. They sat together in the ship's cargo bay. 5 humans preparing to fight 50 of the galaxy's deadliest warriors. Any regrets? June asked. Thousands, Day 1 replied. But not about this. The ship set course for Olympus Station, where the galaxy would watch humans prove what Deathworlders could do. Olympus Station orbited a blue giant star in neutral space. It was ancient, built by civilizations that predated both empires, maintained by treaty as a place where conflicts could be resolved without total war. The arena at its core had witnessed duels between champions for thousands of years. Never had it hosted anything like this. Day 1 stood in the preparation chamber with his squad, feeling the weight of billions of eyes watching through broadcast feeds. Every inhabited world in the galaxy was tuned in. This wasn't just combat, it was theater. A statement about humanity's place in the universe. Final weapons check, June said. They had chosen Earth weapons. Ballistic rifles that fired solid projectiles. Fragmentation, grenades, combat knives. The aliens had offered energy weapons. But Day 1 refused. If they were representing humanity, they would use human tools. Hana distributed medical supplies and stimulants. Remember, we can take more damage than they expect, but we're not invincible. Don't be stupid. Too late, Taemin said, grinning. He was practically vibrating with nervous energy. We're 5 humans about to fight 50 aliens in an arena. Stupid is our default setting. Yuna was silent, methodically checking her rifle scope. She had that look, the predator focus that meant she was already planning angles and kill zones. Day 1 had seen it before. At Depot Gamma 7, the doors opened. They walked into the arena. It was massive, a circular space, half a kilometer wide, with variable terrain, rocky outcrops, artificial structures, elevation changes, perfect for complex combat. The ceiling was transparent, showing the stars beyond. On the opposite side, the alien champions entered. 10 Velathi warriors in powered armor, moving with practiced precision. 20 Cross soldiers, their biological armor glistening under the lights. Weapons that were grown rather than built. 30 against 5. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena in multiple languages. Combat will continue until one side surrenders or is unable to fight. Medical assistance will be provided to survivors. The galaxy is watching. Let honor decide the outcome. Honor, Day One muttered. Right. Thanks for watching. Day One muttered. Day One muttered. A tone sounded. The battle began. The Velathi charged first, following their tactical doctrine-controlled advance with supporting fire. Energy weapons lit up the arena. Day One's squad scattered immediately, using terrain for cover. Yuna found a position on elevated rocks and started firing. Her first shot took down a Velathi champion with a headshot that bypassed his helmet's weak point. The aliens expected ranged combat at medium distance. Yuna was shooting from maximum range with precision that their sensors couldn't track. Tae-min threw grenades that bounced off rocks and detonated behind Velathi positions. They wore shields designed to stop energy weapons. Kinetic explosives came from an unexpected angle, stunning them. The Cross tried to flank, using their superior numbers. Daewon and June moved to intercept, fighting with brutal efficiency. A Cross warrior swung biological blades. Daewon ducked under the strike, rolled forward, and put 3 rounds through the creature's thorax. No honor. No fair fighting. Just survival. June engaged 2 Velathi simultaneously, using speed and aggression they couldn't match. His combat style was close quarters, designed for human physiology. Leverage points. Joint manipulation. Strikes to vulnerable areas. The Velathi tried to maintain distance. June closed it, got inside their guard, and dropped them with precise violence. Hana stayed mobile, treating injuries as they happened. Tae-min took a glancing hit from an energy weapon, burning through his armor. She pulled him behind cover, administered pain blockers, and sent him back into the fight within minutes. You're insane, Tae-min gasped. You're welcome, she replied. The battle lasted 4 hours. The aliens fought with skill and courage, but they were fighting a war of attrition against humans. A war they couldn't win. Every time a champion fell, the others hesitated, following protocol for honoring the dead. The humans pressed attacks during those pauses, using psychology as a weapon. Yuna systematically eliminated long-range threats. Daewon and June controlled the center arena, preventing the aliens from coordinating. Tae-min turned the terrain into a maze of explosive traps. Hana kept everyone functional through injuries that would have stopped other soldiers. The Cross tried overwhelming force, sending 10 warriors against Daewon's position. He fell back to a prepared choke point, using the terrain to limit their approach. They came in waves, and he met each wave with controlled bursts of fire. When his rifle ran dry, he drew his sidearm. When that emptied, he used his knife. A Cross champion closed with him, and they fought hand to hand. The alien was stronger, but Daewon was faster and willing to take damage to create openings. He took a claw strike across his ribs, ignored the pain, and drove his knife through the champion's optical cluster. Still standing, he reported through gritted teeth. By hour 6, the numbers had shifted. 15 alien champions remained, but they were exhausted, injured, and demoralized. The humans were battered, but still fighting with the same intensity. Then, something unexpected happened. A Velathi champion, one of their finest warriors, stopped fighting. He stood in the center of the arena and spoke, his translator broadcasting to the entire galaxy. I will not continue this. I fight for honor, but there is no honor in this war. I have watched these humans, these Deathworlders, fight without rest, without fear, without following rules we hold sacred, and I understand now. They fight to win. They fight to survive. We fight to prove a point that doesn't matter. Another Velathi joined him, removing her helmet. My grandmother died in this war. Her mother before her. For 800 years, we have died for a conflict nobody remembers starting. These humans showed us the truth. We were once one people. We destroyed ourselves and blamed each other. A Cross warrior lowered his weapons. I was bred for war, engineered from hatching to kill Velathi. But if we share ancestors, then what am I killing? The arena fell silent. The remaining champions looked at each other. Then, at the humans, who stood ready to continue fighting. Day One lowered his rifle. We didn't come here to prove humans are better fighters. We came to prove that this war can end. That you can choose peace. June stepped forward, blood running from a cut above his eye. We've studied your history. Earth had world wars, genocides, nuclear weapons. We nearly destroyed ourselves just like you did, but we stopped. We chose to survive together, instead of die alone. And it was hard, Hana added. She was holding a medical kit, having just finished treating a wounded cross soldier, an enemy she had saved without hesitation. We still fight sometimes, we still disagree. But we don't let it destroy us anymore. And, you think we can do the same? Avelathi asked. After 800 years? Avelathi asked. We think you have to try, Yuna said quietly. Because the alternative is dying for nothing. The broadcast was reaching every world, every ship, every station. Civilians on both sides were seeing their champions standing together, questioning the war that had defined their entire civilization. Then Taemin did something remarkable. He walked to the center of the arena and extended his hand to the nearest Velathi warrior. My name is Taemin. I'm from a planet where we almost killed ourselves. We got better. You can too. The Velathi stared at the offered hand. Slowly, carefully, he reached out and grasped it. I am Kelvar, the alien said. I have fought for 30 years. I am tired of war. One by one, the remaining champions joined them. Velathi and Cross, standing together in the arena, witnessed by the galaxy. The military leadership of both empires tried to dismiss it as propaganda, but their citizens had seen the truth. Scientists confirmed the genetic evidence. Historians verified the records. The war had been based on lies perpetuated by those who profited from endless conflict. Within weeks, ceasefire negotiations began. Both empires agreed to joint research on the genetic disease that had plagued them for centuries. Hana worked with alien medical teams, using human biochemistry knowledge to develop treatments. It wasn't instant peace. 800 years of hatred couldn't be erased overnight. But it was a beginning. 6 months later, Day One stood on the observation deck of a Confederacy ship, watching Earth grow larger in the viewport. His squad was going home. Think they'll remember us? Taemin asked. Probably not, June said. Most people never know who ends wars. They just live in the peace that follows. Good, Yuna said. I prefer it that way. They landed at Seoul Military Academy, where their journey had begun. The cadets who greeted them were different now, not just humans, but alien students who had come to Earth to learn from the species that had survived their death world and ended a galactic war. Day One found himself teaching once again, but this time to a classroom of mixed species. He taught tactics, strategy, and the most important lesson humans had to offer. Survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest, he told them. It's about adapting, about working together, about knowing when to fight and when to choose peace. A Velathi student raised his hand. What if peace seems impossible? Day One smiled. Then you make it possible. That's what we did. That's what you'll do. That evening, the 5 of them sat together in the academy courtyard, watching the sunset. They had been through war, had faced death, had changed the galaxy. Any regrets? June asked. Day One thought about Depot Gamma 7, about the arena, about all the battles they had fought. None. We did what we came to do. We showed them what humans can do, Hana said. We showed them what anyone can do, Yuna corrected. We just had to go first. Above them, ships from a dozen species moved through Earth's orbit, bringing students, diplomats, and scientists. The war was ending. Slowly, but surely. And at the center of it all was one small blue world that had almost destroyed itself but chose survival instead. A death world that taught the galaxy how to live. Taemin raised his drink. To us. To Earth. To ending wars that should never have started. They touched glasses, 5 humans who had changed the universe by refusing to accept that change was impossible. The galaxy had thought the war would never end. They had forgotten that humans were the species that survived by doing the impossible. They were Deathworlders, and they had shown everyone what that truly meant, not just surviving, but helping others survive too. The war was ending, the healing was beginning, and humanity had earned its place among the stars.